Mambo Vipi, what's happening? My name is Anyiko, Owoko, and I am a lover of arts, culture, and everything African. And here, we grant you front row access to your favorite celebrities, creators, the biggest personalities, and industry experts. Come with me. You're now a VIP. This is what to expect on this week's episode.
Because I've been performing as a DJ, being the one complaining like, sound check you guys said was 5. I'm here 5:05. There's no one here. Nothing is set up. But now coming from wearing my curator/events venue manager hat, you guys, there's problems. There's a lot of problems. There's not enough gear. There's, I don't know, sound. The sound guy is stuck without fare. I don't know. There's too many issues to ignore and then just keep complaining about the time thing. So we need to address all those issues as well in total, or just think about them.
One of the biggest failures in our industry, Kenya to be very specific, is discipline, especially when it comes to timing. I don't think we understand the power of the fact that time is of the essence. And I don't know, there's this big cloud that always passes where you feel like your set time is midnight, but you want to show up at 12:30 so that you can show you're a superstar. Guys, I'll tell you for free, the best way to move around in the industry is just to be disciplined. If your set is 12 and you're showing up at 12, you're late. The biggest question will be, how comes the guys who make the most mistakes still repeatedly get booked? And somebody somewhere needs to correct that bigly.
Putting yourself in front of people aggressively, like don't give them a chance to look for you or to try and, bring yourself to them. And that way you find that they'll know who you are eventually and they'll pick up your music because people are starting to vibe with it, not because you've come to them with it. If you're planning to hold an event in December, what are you doing right now to make sure that by the time December comes, you're not rambling and scrambling and afraid of what to do, It's always knowing where you want to go and what you can do right now to make sure that that destination is not so much of a challenge when you're closer to it.
Welcome to the finale episode of season 5. Woo! I'm so hype. It's kind of bittersweet, We started this season a couple of weeks ago, 21 weeks ago, 22 weeks, because this is episode 22 and it's been so amazing. We have been going back to the industry talks conversations that we've been hosting at the Coco Institute and repurposing them for you, for this podcast, for everybody who is willing to get into the industry, to be able to find a resource where they can learn, where they can grow, and where they can exchange and get valuable information. It's been such an amazing season in that sense. So we're going to continue with the conversation we started on the podcast last week on the future of Nairobi nightlife, the business, culture, and evolving sound. I'm once again joined by amazing panelists. I'm just going to read out a little bit of their bio, what they're about. So Schwaz Isaboke is a Kenyan DJ, radio producer, and media executive, serving as the head of radio at Capital FM. As a master of the mix, Schwaz is also known for seamlessly blending multi-genre sets that move fluidly across urban, pop, R&B, neo-soul, Afrobeats, amapiano, house, and classic jazz. Beyond the decks, Schwaz is a key figure in multi-platform digital integration and radio innovation, helping transform traditional broadcasting into dynamic digital lifestyle ecosystems. Coco Em, aka Mbeke Nzioka, is a multidisciplinary artist, and she's currently the artistic director of a popular underground venue in Nairobi, The Mist. You probably have heard of it or been there. She has curated various events, including a 3-day boiler room event, and was also the artistic director at the 13th edition of the Norient Festival in Bern, and with her DJ career has performed in over 80 cities worldwide at festivals such as Glastonbury, Afropunk, Sona, MTN Bushfire, and more. Following her successful EP Kilumi, Coco Em is currently working on her debut album to be released in 2027. What an amazing woman and artist and DJ. Njerae is an award-winning Kenyan singer, songwriter, and producer known for her smooth fusion of contemporary R&B, soul, and Afro-influenced pop. She has quickly emerged as one of East Africa's most compelling new voices, celebrated for her emotive songwriting, refined sound, and distinctive vocal presence. Her debut album, Unintentional, has surpassed 10 million streams, propelled by standout singles like Akisioni, which alone has garnered over 6 million streams. And since then, Njerae has continued to build momentum with a series of well-received releases. Back to the conversation of this week. We are looking at unpacking the evolution of DJ culture and nightlife in Kenya and across Africa. In addition, this discussion will examine the economics of nightlife. How do you create value? And how is this value distributed across the ecosystem? How do DJs influence audience turnout and revenue generation? Let's get straight into it.
Firstly, what a beautiful platform you guys have here, and it's so nice to see you guys on the stage. I have a question about the evolution of the nightlife, because you guys are talking about playing like local music on repeat, and we've been having this conversation a lot. Actually, Kenyans love Kenyan music. We love our own music, and actually, I'm noticing that we have a lot of DJs who are making a lot more money playing our music, right? And now with like the innovation of like establishments like CL, for example, right? So like, for example, on Sunday, you've got Hiribai playing along CNG, totally different vibes. And as a result, totally different groups of people coming together. And it's also the only place, honestly, I'm meeting millennial people on a Sunday night. Anybody single, go to CL on a Sunday. So there's not many places for us anymore, guys. So my question is, every time I'm there, I keep hearing like, you know, from like whether it's the Kambula guys or if it's the BND guys, they're saying like this is the evolution of our industry, like our nightlife. Do you guys agree with that? And also as DJs, when you're playing, especially in the Afro house scene and things like that, are you actually finding sometimes that you want to compromise your sound because you're seeing the guys who are playing kind of more the commercial music, just getting more gigs, and as a result, potentially actually getting better sponsorships and things like that? So yeah, curious about your thoughts on that.
Thank you, Safia. Thanks for coming. Safia also runs an industry night at a club in Westlands called Koda. So maybe just to answer the second question, I have kichwa ngumu, my hard-headedness. I never feel the need to compromise on the sound that I've, like, you know, with passion and love prepared for the audience that I want to play for. However, there's days where I'll play that sound and I'll clear the dance floor. Like I cleared a whole festival once in Sweden. They walked away. All blonde, blue-eyed kids, they walked away because I wanted to play Afro house, and then they wanted bubble pop. I don't know, you know, those songs. And I was like, well, this is what I have, right? So I feel like the compromising sometimes can save your show. However, I was, again, very fortunate because that day I was programmed as Coco Em. So the venue apologized to me that everyone left, right? And that's not the usual. If you clear a dance floor in a club, you're not getting hired again. So the compromise happens most of the time out of necessity, like you need to get paid. So I wouldn't advocate for it. I feel like our audiences are expanding and they're thinking anyways. Guys came to the Mist and listened to, there's a DJ called Odera who was playing the you know Odera, listen. People were a bit scared, but then they stayed and they danced. Like after 20 minutes, they were like, okay, let's go. We're going with this. What is this? But there was Brazilian funk. There was, you know, so I feel like Kenyans really, you love culture, you love your brain expanded, but then like a lot of people assume they know what you want, so they feed you the same thing. And then I hate this thing of reading analytics. It's like people reacted to this song, so we must play it over. It's like, no, tomorrow I'm a different person. Maybe I want to hear something else, or maybe I don't know what I want to hear. So I would advocate for you to stay true, but also read the room and know your pocket, what you need, just balance. Yeah.
I think compromising on sound then dilutes everything that we're doing, specifically our passion for why we do music. But then I'm so happy with the scene, to be specific, in Nairobi, that actually when I see people complain and say certain club or certain DJ plays the same kind of set, I feel bad for them because there's a lot of curation going around. And like you've said, Anthony is doing a good job with that curation at CL. So I don't see the reason as to why you would still complain about DJ X or establishment X and still go there the next day. Well, there's a variety of every place that you can go. So when I'm not working, on a Friday or Saturday, I would love to know what the house scene is like. That's not a place I measure a lot, but I'd love to understand that. And I cannot go to the same venues I play because I know I'll not get that. And it's also gone to festivals and other curations. I mean, there's bongo events, there's R&B events, there's Ugandan events. I mean, Kenya has evolved so much in music that that's the way to go. I mean, every single day there's a place for everyone and anyone to go and enjoy very specific, different kinds of music.
My name is Barry. I'm an artist and producer. I'd like to say thank you to the Institute for holding this and thank you to the panelists for being here. So the question I have is to Njerae. As a musician, what marketing channels should I be in to get my music picked up by DJs? Because sometimes I wonder, how do I actually get my music up there to, move around and, get people to know the music? Yeah.
I've come to find authenticity works the best. I had that same question when I was starting out. And for me, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to just stop thinking and just post as much as I can post and just be seen as much as I can be seen. There's people you can already talk to in this room. So just putting yourself in front of people aggressively, like don't give them a chance to look for you or to try and, bring yourself to them. And that way you find that they'll know who you are eventually. And they'll pick up your music because people are starting to vibe with it, not because you've come to them with it. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Kayla, and I just had a question on the business aspect of it. So for the panel, what is the financial problem in our local market that consistently ruins the profit margins? Because it might seem like it's being successful based off of people coming and the event getting a lot of traction, but in the business aspect, are you actually making profits, and how do you manage or balance between having a high vibe or high energy event and actually making actual profits?
Not so much on the event space, but then I'll speak from an artist perspective. Understanding yourself and knowing your self-worth is what really helps you out there. So what's your rate card? And this is informed vis-a-vis how much you do for yourself. So you do your own marketing, your wardrobe, your life as well, all those things, plus the expertise that you give for that specific curation that you're going to do, then makes up what your rate card is for that specific event. So here's the deal. If you were going to quote X and then you quote Y, which is lower than maybe what you thought, maybe because of fear, lack of knowledge, that directly translates back to you. That for everything that you would have used to get to that venue and perform, then you are at zero or then headed to the negative. So it's a hard education bit, but something that you learn over the day and get to understand. So, for example, at the moment, or rather something that people do not know, that your self-image alone is something that presents you to the world. And that will then make you want to invest heavily on how you look, how you present yourself, which in itself is a very important cost, So just starting from how you dress, the gear that you use, your transport to that place, and then overall the expertise that you give vis-a-vis how much you're being paid. So if you look at that paycheck and you break it down that way, then you'll be able to know, okay, did I make anything from this, and am I going to survive from this? That informs your next quotation.
For example, as I can maybe try and speak for the event space, if you're planning to hold an event in December, what are you doing right now to make sure that by the time December comes, you're not rambling and scrambling and afraid of what to do? You're in a room with 75 vendors. How can I talk to one to make sure that when that event comes, I just have to pick my phone and call you instead of, now going around and looking for a sound person or a person to do this, a person to do this. So I think just always knowing where you want to go and what you can do right now to make sure that that destination is not so much of a challenge when you're closer to it, because we don't realize until we are much closer to it that we are getting to it. But what can you do now to make sure that when you're in that space, it's a lot easier for you? But yeah, like he said, I think the place where you spend the most is just the preparation for it. So you just have to make sure that you are ready. For me as an artist, I started doing small things like my makeup, kitambo, to make sure that if I'm called right now, I don't have to start scrambling to find, oh my gosh, I can't go barefaced, like I can do something. It won't be perfect, but I can do something that will cut that cost, and I'll find that makeup artist somewhere who'll tell me, I can help you. So tomorrow I don't have to struggle. I can just pick my phone and call them. So yeah, every single day I think you should live knowing what it is that you want to do and what you can do in that day to cut that journey.
If I could also add to that very good question, I think for creatives, there's always the hidden cost of what it costs you to be sustainable. I think everyone, especially when you're starting, you are ready for the paycheck. Like if somebody is going to pay you 2K or 5K to DJ, you're just going to take it. You're not going to think like, 2K, itaweza kununua decks. Maybe it probably can because that's like your food, your transport, your taxi. But as you move on in your career, I think it's important to figure out what is the cost of running my business? What's the cost of my business being sustainable? And what does it cost me to show up? As a female artist, sometimes and most times, your look is a cost. You're not going to perform at a festival with the clothes you wore to another event or another festival or that you did a photo shoot with on social media. So you have to be like, cost me 20K for a new outfit. My makeup is 25K. So all this must be factored in your rates, right? So as you move forward, like, I think that's one thing that many people don't consider.
Yeah, so my name is Mike from Ziki, a music distribution company. Anyiko, amazing panel, nice discussion. So I have two questions for Schwaz. A few years back, radio used to be the place where songs become hit songs. In the last few years, majorly streaming and TikTok has been making songs. So I would like to know, as where you sit now, where's the real influence of radio in this space as at 2026? Is it still the same? And then the second question is linked to that. On our backend, data usually determines how we make business decisions, and majorly, there's been a very huge surge in terms of how people engage with music from this new generation, whereby we have stars who've been built through streaming. So your playlists, because I know stations are majorly built according to the audience. For example, Capital, you know your listener. You have stars who are really huge in that unknown, but they have millions of streams on Spotify, for example. Has it dictated you guys changing how you create your music or sound just so that you can just fit what the market wants? Thank you.
That's a very good question. Just to begin with the second question is, evolution is very key, especially for traditional media. And it's a place I think traditional media has kind of struggled for a moment to try and understand the shift in culture. So here's the true fact about it, is that in my position, I have to look out and understand what exactly is the voice that is telling the story. And then there's a clear balance between trying to change the sound to sound as exactly what is present at the moment without losing the core audience that has built Capital FM to be very specific up to now, which is a very difficult balance. But the thing is that the digital shift then makes even that 40-year-old interact with this very music or with this very artist. And then how do you keep them versed with that music? There's a clear balance that you then have to integrate it to your playlist. You have to put it in your checklist every single day. And funny enough, there are these people who actually then force you to do that. We have a segment called School Bus Rush where kids request songs. I learn a lot of music from that because you cannot run away from that. So the biggest education point we are having right now is that digital is then influencing traditional media. It's not the other way around. So Molly is a big artist right now worldwide, but then Molly was discovered on TikTok, not on Hot 97 or Ghana, where she comes from. And Capital FM would lose Wave 5, then that record is not on their playlist. So to answer your both questions is, digital now guides a lot of traditional media. And if you look at it, every radio station right now is audiovisual. I think one of the biggest
breakfast show in the world, I think from today or tomorrow, is on Netflix. That's how the dynamics have changed. And anybody who then does not move towards that side gets to lose just by a mile.
My name is Kyle Njerae. I am a creative strategist in film, music, and marketing. And my first question goes to Njerae. In your experience making your music and being in the scene, what's your source to community building? Because I feel like a lot of artists have the music, but then to find the community space and actually maintain it such that you can even travel to Kitale because you have a community there. So what's your source to that?
I think it's first of all understanding that I'm a human being before I'm an artist at the end of the day. And I think that's what builds the community, the fact that they're able to relate to the human being inside the artist. So I think also just being open, honest, and vulnerable, not only like here where I am, but also in my performances, allows me to like maintain the people that I'm to walk with them every single place that I go to. I feel like a lot of the times I could literally sing one song and the entire space is quiet and I'll think they are not enjoying themselves, but it's because everyone is just remembering, oh my gosh, the first time I heard this song, or oh my gosh. And it's because I'm able to stand on the stage and also portray that same emotion. You know, I don't hold back from feeling what I need to feel even when I sing the music, because it's also therapeutic to me as well. That has helped maintain or also just build my community a lot.
So my name is Nayed, and I have a question based under the struggling artist concept. How do you explore the idea of intellectual property in your mixes? How can the DJ protect themselves with the products that they put? Because you've said, like, once your talent is out there, no one can take it away from you. But I'm looking at it from this angle of what are the ways that DJs and musicians and artists can protect themselves using IP to make them not struggle anymore and continuously earn from their craft.
I think for DJs, first of all, when we create mixes, we cannot earn from that unless it's our music, because that then will be reproducing. You get? So largely our mixes help us with showing our skill more than earning from that. But then there's so many ways with DSPs that you can balance that if then you're doing your product placement and all that on the checks and balances, how then the artist gets their fair share of what they've contributed to your property. This is quote unquote, because then again, still it's not your property. I'm taking what she's produced and I've put it in my DJ mix. If I'm advertising that, then they have to get their fair share of what then I am reproducing. But if then, yes, and this is largely for the Afro House DJs who are big time producers who've made their music, or DJs who've made their music, you just go through the same process as a recording artist goes through. And then if I am making that DJ mix and I have product placements or ways I'm earning from it, then I'm still making my money because this is my property. But as a DJ who is not a producer producing music, once you create that and put in DSPs, you even have some times where that's pulled down because then the artist has some checks for it and says, this has been reproduced or this has been used without my permission and all that.
Nimefurahi kuwa hapa, anaitwa Furaha. So swali langu ni, tumeongea kuhusu uptown, downtown, hiyo kukutana. Na ndio unaweza cheza Njerae downtown. Kuna space ya kucheza downtown, uptown. And by downtown, namaanisha kucheza benga, kucheza rumba, kucheza isikuti. Because that's what I play. So uptown. So mi nataka kuona, tunaona, is this gonna happen? Ama ni mimi peke? Are we gonna do it, DJs? Are we gonna do it? Hilo ndilo swali.
Guys, again, just to repeat myself, that term is usually used for political segregation. You know, I'm owning my bread so that you cannot come and take it. But I just want to ask, any one of you know a DJ called Gibbs the Dark Child? Right? If you've ever been to any venue he plays or where he's played, whether it's the up or the down, I think his set goes past anything that you expect. And I think that's why he's really out there, because he pushes borders. So music is beyond borders. And like I said, you have to be very good in dropping that banger, And I can play that banger without fear. And I think Coco Em was here saying once she played something and it cleared the dance floor, all you need to do is just make sure that I don't lose whoever I'm playing for. But to be very honest, there is no uptown, downtown. It's just politics of business that has been created, and music can be played anywhere.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Williamson. I'm a journalist stroke interviewer. So my question to you guys is, how do you support upcoming creatives, especially you as a DJ and you as an artist in this space?
Personally, I'm a person who's where I am, not because I'm very good to be there, but somebody gave me a chance. I always accommodate more than enough. And look, the beauty about pursuing art is you'll never know what you find. So I have a mailbox full of so many music, and all I can do is listen and say, which one pleases my ear, and automatically I'll play it, and then I'll wait for the crowd reaction. The other wild cards, I'll pull people together. I have presenters, I have other producers, and we'll be like, okay, so what's the case for this? How do you feel about this? But we have never really turned away any bit of music that we get. The most important bit is just somebody understanding that, rotation is not really based on me. I really have nothing to do with rotation. Rotation is simply, how does then the people you're playing this music for enjoy it, and you don't want to lose an audience. So once you put out there, to be very specific, Tuesday we have something we call New Music Tuesday. Once we play that music, there's always requests for it, asks for it, who's that artist and all that. All those are indicators of this then should stay here. The music that I like and then maybe that I feel that cannot slot into that, I'll put it in my mixes. I still create loads and loads of mixes, and I'll push it as much as I can. For DJs, I'm always very welcoming. I mean, when I have slots on radio, I'll always give to DJs. But there's always one thing. I mean, there's a policy for that. So checks and balances, clean music, and then can you be able to string one or two? For club purposes, just like it was in the older days, nowadays it's very much hard to do an opening set. But then, I mean, if my set is 4 hours, I can give you the last 20 minutes, and then that 20 minutes will determine how long you'll play from there. The 20 minutes to the end of my time, if then it's not making sense, the club owner, DJ, promoter will say no. But then if you're making a whole difference and nobody can see the difference between myself and her, nobody will even question. My time is up. There is really not much I can do within that time. So
I personally listen to a lot of Kenyan music. Like, actually, majority of the stuff I listen to is just Kenyan music. And I feel like when I was starting to release music, the only thing I had to hold on to was my stream status of, there's 50 people who have listened to you today, and tomorrow it will grow to 51. And I feel like as an upcoming artist, because you don't have very many stages where they will offer you money to do your thing, distribution is the only place you'll actually earn your own money for yourself. So I think the thing that I love to do is just supporting, streaming, hooking people up with, new unheard music.
I also want to say something just to give you your flowers, because I think you mentioned before that he's a music lead at Capital FM. And normally, as someone who sits on the other side working with artists in PR, I can tell you for sure it's really hard to get through to the programmers, the music leads, because you can imagine the number of artists trying to reach out to them, the number of emails they receive, the number of record labels and managers pitching to them. And honestly, in this country, I think this is the only guy who's like the most accessible of all these people. Sometimes even when you want to call such a guy, you're like, guy, I hope ayuko kwa meeting, ama I hope ako kwa process of listening to music, but he'll always pick up or he'll always respond. So thank you for that. And I think I can say like that is very supportive to the artist, and especially upcoming artists, because a lot of radio stations don't want artists who are not big artists, but Schwaz and Capital is not like that. Unajua Capital inakuanga na different vibes for different shows. So I think for Capital and what I've experienced with Schwaz, if you're dope, the music is good, you get a chance.
My name is Lexin Vela. I am an artist, and thank you for holding this today. In terms of genre, like, did you know what genre you were doing when you were doing it and whether it would hit? And also, it kind of ties in with the thing of like uptown, downtown, because I wouldn't say, well, I don't know. Benga and Afro pop is kind of different. So those are different audiences. So did you know it would hit? And it's only one question. So part 1B, did you have like a backup plan given if Ikikosa could hit mainstream, you won't make the sales, like distribution, and you wouldn't have people showing up for your shows and stuff. So did you have like a backup? Is there a second job you do even now or something? Yeah, that's my question. Even now, if you ask me what genre I'll do, I'll just tell you a bunch of words, but I'm not really sure where it is because I don't like to box myself in a genre or in a type of thing. Actually, even when I go to the studio to work with a producer, I don't tell them what sound I want. I tell them how I want it to feel. And then, because they have knowledge of all the very many different things, they can best decide where that fits. So your first question, no, I just write what I write and, it just happens. And yeah, even with unintentional, it was very unintentional, Yeah, and that's how I keep going with my things. Second question, no, I have never been employed. I've never worked in any other job other than music. Because I believe if you treat it like a plan B, it will give you like a plan B. So, no, I'm not willing to make it a plan B.
I feel like I created a storm between uptown and downtown. Guys, listen, don't box yourself in that whole thought process. I don't know, do you guys know about music sampling? Do you know the record Scammer Race by Mad Tracks? The beat came from Rumba song called Maya. So you can just go and do your research and see. And today, if I was doing a set at CL and I played Maya and then I played Scammer Race, I would have played Rumba and I would have still played new music, right? Don't put yourself in a shell. Sir M, Mr. C, always do all those things. They take you on a journey. They play the old record. They play the new record. Burna Boy is a whole superstar because of doing Fela Kuti, Femi Kuti. I mean, music is worldwide, guys.
I think the beauty of music is how you're able to take something that already existed and bring us something new. And that's why you'll find most DJs will say they're also producers because they go into actual studio work and they put different things together. So yeah, don't box yourself, guys.
My name is Aileen Owoko. I'm an IP lawyer. So I'm really glad that the questions about copyright and intellectual property are coming up. And he's actually really right. We go to public participations, artists don't show up, or if they show up, you come late. And yet there's a whole copyright bill that was being amended, just juicy. And yet opinions like yours matter in these spaces. But aside from that, my question is, I also consume a lot of Kenyan music, but then artists release on Friday. Even today, all music, most new music is released on Friday. So as a DJ, do you wait until next week to play the artist that will release today? The hope is just that you'll be the first to tease their music. You get overwhelmed like me, who we wait for everyone to release and then we start listening on Monday. So how do you balance releases on Friday specifically? Because you're competing with so much. I have weekend plans. I have to go to the clubs, do where. So how do you balance that?
So Friday releases are not only unique to Kenya. It's actually something which is worldwide. And the thought process behind it is Friday is a lighter day. So you will have a bit more time to listen to that album, to listen to that record, because really not everybody's headspace is in work. Now, the benefit about that is two-way. Artist X or Y will tease that whole thing week in, week out. My record comes on 29th of May. So I'm on the lookout if I cannot be of access to this artist to send me that song to pre-listen, such that if it's a single, I'll benefit a lot. That's 3 minutes, 4 minutes. If it's an album, it's a quick skim and trying to see what's a hit, but then you see an album I cannot consume in a day. If I'm blessed enough, the artist can send the song to me. I can stay with it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month. So the question will be listen to it and give feedback. Oh, I'm releasing this song next week. Have it and play it at 9 a.m. on Friday. If it's a hit, I already have it, so I already know. Basically that's how it works. And again, remember, like I said, there's competitive advantage between you, the internet, and the person you'll meet at the club that night. So if you haven't done your research, you can't wait until Monday.
Hi everyone, my name is Tobichiko. My question is, how do you deal with the pressure to constantly succeed, stay relevant, and keep achieving in the media or creative industry?
One, you're the one who will define your success. Success doesn't look the same for everyone. But I think, coming back to what I said before, authenticity is very, very important. I think to be an artist, there's that niceness of thinking you're a supernatural being, but I think the most times when we relate to people is when they're just normals. At the end of the day, no one's journey can be your journey. So you also have to be very intentional with creating your own path, because you're the only one who really, really knows where you want to go. And unfortunately, sometimes you'll have to fail to know the answer. So sometimes failure has to happen for you to achieve success. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, that's the only way it can be defined as success, I guess, if there's failure involved. So one, don't be afraid of falling. Number one, you have to put yourself out there every single day and stay notified and up to date. Like he said, don't wait for Monday to know what happened on Friday. You also have to keep up with what's happening in the world around you to know how to make yourself relevant in that space.
Hi, so my name is Nyabungu. I took notes because I forget things. The biggest question I have actually is a great follow-up that I see that we have, IP lawyers in the building. And it's how efficient legal has been, I think, for you guys as artists, and also just within that space when it comes to securing contracts, when it comes to just doing the back end of what a performance is, because I've previously worked in more regulated spaces. Like I love a good, capital markets thing going on. I love a good internship at NSC, and it's like, we know who's in charge. We know the rules. We know if you don't play by the rules, certain things happen. And so you can really focus on just whatever your task is at hand. And what I noticed in creative space, as I've started to experience it as an artist manager especially, is that, oh my God, who is in charge? Like, what is the actual legal structure? Because it looks like people can do anything. And it's an overwhelming majority of experiences where I've had that. And so now I'm curious, especially for more established artists and people who are in bigger industries that are more solidified, what that looks like in legal for you and how reliable it is. And also if you can prescribe structures that are so important. Like I know these days having a lawyer on hand is great, but then I don't know what the industry equivalent for small claims court is when it comes to, creative and that likes. So that's what I'd like to know.
I think that's where networking and connecting with people comes in handy, to just know who's, like, you've known now she's an IP lawyer, I think that's what helped me coming up in the beginning. I was interacting with a lot of people who, they are also lawyers who just specify in entertainment law. So they are looking to just work with entertainers and people in the creative scene. So there, the only thing I tell you is just you need to move around and network and know people in different spaces to know who you can work with, because I understand they can be expensive. Yeah, but nikutembea too, you have to take the time to move around and meet the right people. You asked who is in charge. There's a space for who is in charge. Let me tell you, you are in charge. I think that's what I decided for myself a long time ago, because you're going to favor yourself in that your contract. So why can't I come with my own terms as well? I think the good thing about a contract, it's not a list of rules that is already set in the world that every contract needs to have this list of rules. It's set particularly to the person that, you're working with and whatnot. So it's very open to also negotiation. Sometimes people don't know that they can, come and say, no, I won't do it like this, but I'll do it like this. You also have to have the knowledge for yourself. I know you've had all of us introduce ourselves here, and no one has just given one title, because we've all had to learn things on the job. So even when you receive a contract, yes, there's terminology that you as a person who's not in that legal field will not understand, but it helps for you to also know what it is that is being said in that contract and what is expected of you.
I wanted to say we've also had collaborations with the good people at the Kenya Copyright Board here at Industry Talks in the past, and I think we might have actually 2 episodes featuring the good people from the Kenya Copyright Board. I call them the good people because I also learned something while I was here at the event. I was like, I would expect that I should have known about that. But they say that they also offer free counsel to all creatives, all artists. All you need to do is reach out to them. So they have like a website, they have an email. And if you have any disputes, they offer free counsel. You have to book an appointment when they're available, but they'll always have 1 or 2 officers for that. They were like, sometimes it's easier to come out of disputes through arbitration instead of taking somebody to court, because then that can take a lot of your time and a lot of your money. So you asked about structure. I've been in the industry for a very long time. Now I'm getting to 21 years because I just started when I just started when I was 18, and I also started here at Gote, like he's saying. I came from a small town to Nairobi, and I knew I'm going to Gote and I'm going to Alliance because those are the 2 places that I see on TV supporting creatives and stuff. And true to what I thought they really did that for me. And for all this time I've been in the industry, there's growth happening. So there's not a defined structure, especially in the entertainment industry. So you have to have your own structure, your own team. You are the one who's in charge. Like, unless if you're in a label, you can say there's label structures or there's a management structure, or Capital has its own structure. But I wouldn't even say like all the media scene is structured a certain way. They all work so differently, and especially now that media is being led by the new media as opposed to traditional media. Now you find an Instagram blog has more power than a traditional media that has been there for the past 50 years. So the industry is evolving so fast that any existing structure keeps getting dismantled. I think what's most important is we just need to find more professional ways of working and more ways to protect our work and to help grow and help also push the skill. We just need to work better on that. It's not an excuse to say because there's no school for something, sasa siko knowledgeable, because hata kama hakuna school for something, or if I can't afford to go to a DJ school, I can afford to go to the YouTube tutorials and stuff. So my 2 cents. Thank you, Schwaz, Coco Em, and Njerae for gracing this season and this particular episode. Has been so amazing. Today's conversation was great for you if you want to be a DJ, a music entrepreneur, promoter, if you're a venue owner, or a cultural stakeholder. So if you know any of these people, please share this episode with them. Thank you so much to each and every person who's been rocking with us from day one, who's been rocking with us at Industry Talks, events, and workshops. Our conversation today was the finale episode of this season of VIP Access, season 5, that is. How do you get into the industry? How do you scale up? And how do we change the industry for the better? We are literally offering practical insights into how to position yourself as a creative, how to be professional, how to collaborate and build long-term value within your ecosystem, within the creative economy, how to be influential and how to value yourself based on your influence. And this is how we're going to change the industry. Thank you so much to each and every person who's been part of this season. I cannot thank you all enough. It's been so much fun. Thank you to everybody who keeps coming to Industry Talks, all our new community and followers and, people who've come to the workshops. It's been such an amazing season. We'll continue having our conversations at Gote Institute throughout the year. So please check out posters and announcements and the upcoming dates on Gote Institute or our own social media, Industry Talks, Anyiko, Owoko, or Anyiko PR. Until then, I want to thank you all so much. And big shout out to my co-producer, Fidel Maipia. Fidel, hey, this guy is amazing. He stuck with me from season 1. We've been bringing you this, I was going to say show and podcast. So it's been so amazing working with you, Fidel. Shout out to Suzanne at Gote Institute, Shamina, and all the amazing professionals who are working behind the scenes at the Gote Institute. And it's been so amazing to work and collaborate with you all. And let's do it again next season as we continue with the talks and conversations. If anyone is looking for me, you can hit me up. My email address is anyiko.pr@gmail.com. Hey, shameless plug. It's my podcast. Until then, see you guys. It's a wrap. VIP Access Season 5 is proudly supported by the Gote Institute, Nairobi.